Have you ever seen a set of barn doors that just screams, "Hey, y'all want a beer?" Well, maybe that's not what you need for your space. So I'm going to show you how to build these barn doors that's a little bit of a twist on an old-time classic. To start off, I cut down the 2x6s that will be used to make the frame for this door. Now I'm cutting these about an inch longer than what their final length will be. Today's project is brought to you by my friends at Craig Tool. Over at the joiner, I established one flat edge, and this is going to be very critical for our next process over at the table saw. Now at the table saw, I'm going to run that jointed edge along the rip fence to bring my stock down to its final width. And now with the dado stack installed, I'm going to cut the groove for the center panels. So at this point we're back over at the miter saw, and what I'm doing here is cutting everything down to their final length. For joinery, I'm going with the 2.5 inch pocket hole screws, and as you see I'm putting 3 in each end to give this frame some extra rigidity. Now you guys have heard me talk about my ACS before, and this video is no exception. I love using this tool in particular for cutting down sheet goods. With the sheet cut to its final length, I head over to the table saw and cut it down to its final width. Here I am laying out for the grooves that will simulate a tongue and groove door. So this is a step I was actually really excited to do. With the track saw set to a cut depth of 1/8 of an inch, I cut all of those grooves to simulate a tongue and groove panel. And to finish off this center panel, I use an 1/8 inch roundover bit around all of the edges. I'm doing this to make assembly just a little bit easier. And speaking of assembly, here we are. So the process here is pretty simple. Basically, I'm centering the rails on the panel in their respective locations. Using a combination of my dead blow hammer and some bar clamps, I get everything snugged up before it's time to run in the screws. With everything clamped in place, I run in the 2.5 inch long pocket hole screws and call it done. Hey guys, just a heads up, all of the tools and materials that I use in this project are linked in the description below. What I'm doing here is routing a pocket for the sliding door hardware that I'll be using. And what's awesome is I'm reusing a template from another project, like Woodworking Win right there. And real quick, as soon as that project drops, there will be a card above right here, so you can go check out that project as well. Okay, so getting back to this, we have routed the first pocket and now we need to make a secondary pocket that is a little bit deeper. So what am I doing? I'm using painter's tape and super glue to kind of hold in place a dam, if you will, that will allow me to cut this secondary pocket deeper. Okay, so check this out. This is the sweet part. After checking the depth, how do I remove it? Wow, that was easy. Now the last little detail in getting all of this ready for the sliding door hardware is I need to drill a 1/2 inch through hole for the hanger bolt to go through the top of the door. Now with all of the technical woodworking difficulties out of the way, it is time to work on the appearance of this door. To fill any cracks, splits, whatever, it's pine, there are going to be defects. I'm using Elmer's wood putty. This is the first time I've used this product and I'm actually pretty happy with the results. And once the putty is fully dry, I sand up to 120 grit in preparation for painting. In order to paint both sides of the door at the same time, I'm using some scrap 2x4s, screwing them to the bottom side of the door to basically act as feet, and this actually works out really well. So here's a quick tip if you are ever trying to get the best possible finish out of a piece of MDF. You want to first apply shellac to that surface. Here I skipped that step because honestly these are going in the basement, so I just went ahead and sprayed General Finishes stain blocking primer as my base coat, and then I went back with General Finishes Milk Paint in Queenstown Gray for my color coat. So I told y'all I was taking a little bit of a twist on that classic barn door style. The first aspect of that is I used MDF for that center panel, and I made a faux tongue and groove look in that. Now here is the second part of that deviation from the standard style. I'm using an enclosed track since these doors are located in my shop, and the benefit to that is it keeps all of that dust and debris out of the track and allows the door to keep sliding smoothly. Before moving on, I needed to modify the tracks just a little bit so they would better fit the area that they were being installed into. Before installing, I took the track and all the accompanying hardware outside and spray painted it flat black. Using a level along with a ton of 3.5 inch long screws, I installed the track into the top plate of this wall. You remember that pocket we routed earlier? Well, here's where it comes into play. We first slide that bolt down into the pocket. We then set the position of the roller with one nut, put a bracket over top of that nut, and then lock everything down with another nut and 2 screws. Installing this door, while a little bit cumbersome, was definitely not overly difficult. 2 people would make the job easier, but if you have a step stool, you can probably do the installation by yourself. To install the handles, I ended up using painter's tape where I was going to be drilling the holes, and this was for 2 reasons. 1, so that way I could mark the exact location where I needed to drill, and then 2, so that way I didn't potentially chip out that freshly painted surface. I found lots of options for the bottom door guides, but the ones I ultimately went with actually had ball bearings in them, so they slide very, very smoothly with the door. Okay, y'all, if you liked this project, I know you will love the rustic coffee table I made a while back. That video is coming up in just a minute in the end cards. Also, don't forget to grab the free plans that are linked below. Ah, you're still there. Awesome. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, I got another one queued up for you right here. And if you want other awesome content from me, check out those. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like and subscribe. And until next time, have fun making something.